Dear students, good evening and a warm welcome to CSAT Made Easy 2025 series, where we discuss the most exam specific questions and concepts from the angle of your CSAT paper of 25 year. I am Sachin Gopral and today's topic would be RC, Reading Comprehension. So, welcome to the class. Before going to the first question, I will reiterate the two steps that I told you to solve any RC question, any passage question in your CSAT paper. What are those two steps? The first step would be to read the passage carefully and go on underlining key terms in each of the sentence. The first step would be to underline key terms in each sentence. How does this help us? This helps us in multiple ways. One would be to understand what the author is saying in that sentence. Then after reading the entire passage, if you want to read the after reading the entire passage, after reading the questions and the options, if you feel like reading the passage again, you need not go through the passage all over again. You just need to concentrate on that sentence. So it will save your time, and most of all, the passage, it will be a bulk of an idea. By underlining key terms, what you will effectively be doing is you will be breaking that block into little packets of ideas so that our mind will be able to grasp the ideas easily. This is the first step. Read the passage carefully and underline the key terms. And what is the second step? The second step would be to eliminate the options. I have listed 4 steps to do that one also. 4 steps to eliminate options. How will we eliminate options? First, eliminate the illogical, irrational and extreme options. Okay, some options they will be quite illogical and they will be and some of them they will be suggesting an extreme thing. Eliminate them first. Then eliminate the options which are not in agreement with the passage. Some options they would be saying things that are against what the passage has said. And I have added one more thing here. Eliminate the options that are not in agreement with the passage and the tone of the passage. Okay, what do I mean by tone of the passage? I will explain this to you in the first question itself. That is very important. This is a very clear indicator to eliminate options. We will understand how to eliminate options by recognizing the tone of the passage with the first example itself. Okay, then eliminate the less appropriate options first, and the last option to remain would be your answer. And as I have told you, while answering the questions of passages, do not think in terms of correct answer and wrong answers. Think in terms of more appropriate option and less appropriate options. And the most appropriate option, that would be your answer. Okay, let's begin with the first question. Welcome once again. This is the first question. It was asked in the paper of 2024. Let's read the passage. Green growth involves rethinking growth strategies with regard to impacts on environmental sustainability and the environment resources available to poor and vulnerable growth. Okay, what is this message? What is this sentence talking about? This sentence, it is talking about green growth. And what is green growth? It involves rethinking of growth strategies with regard to impacts on environmental sustainability and environment resources available to poor and vulnerable groups. I underlined 3 key terms in one sentence. You might want to underline however many number of key terms you want to, and also you might want to underline words other than what I did. It doesn't matter. Just underline those terms which will condense the idea of the whole sentence in that little term. It might be different for you, it might be different for me. There is no hard and fast rule that you should underline the same terms that I did. Underline whichever seems appropriate to you. Okay, let's go to the second sentence. In rethinking growth, we need to focus on the current reality of resource constrained world. I will underline resource constrained world. Resource intensive and in particular energy intensive processes will need to make way for more efficient and resource frugal development strategies if we are to avoid an economic dead end or a world in which a small elite is able to enjoy affluence in the midst of a sea of poverty. Okay, what will we underline here? I will underline resource intensive processes. I will read it as resource intensive processes. Okay, then I will underline economic dead end, and I will underline small elite affluence, and also poverty. Okay, now underline these terms. Okay, what is the message talking about? In simple words, the passage is talking about green growth, that is maintaining environment and resources in the path of development. So they are telling us that in the path of development we shall sustain our environment and we shall preserve our resources, so that the resources, they are not enjoyed only by a small elite group, however while the rest of the population, it is in poverty. This is the gist of the passage in simple words. Okay, let's now look at the question. Which one of the following statements best reflects the crux of the above passage? What is crux? Crux would be the main idea or the central idea. Okay, let's read the options one by one, and we shall eliminate the options as I told you in the previous slide. Okay, environmental sustainability is inimical to our objective of achieving a high rate of GDP growth. Okay, we can eliminate this one directly. Why? Look at the underlined words. Environmental sustainability is inimical to GDP growth. What is inimical to? It is kind of opposed to. So they are telling us that environmental sustainability, it is opposed to GDP growth. Is that so? And what did I tell you in the previous slide? Eliminate the options that are not in agreement with the tone of the passage. What is the tone of the passage? The tone of the passage is that we shall handle both environmental sustainability and growth hand in hand. That is what that is the tone of the passage. But what is this saying? This is saying as though environmental sustainability, it is opposed to GDP growth. No, that is not the tone of the passage. So using the concept of tone of the passage, we can easily eliminate option A. Let's go to option B. Poverty eradication is not possible without a rapid economic growth and the consequent environmental degradation. Okay, poverty eradication is not possible without environmental degradation. This says that if we are to attain poverty elimination, poverty eradication, if we are to attain poverty eradication, then environmental degradation is inevitable. That is what this passage is saying. And again, that is not in agreement with the tone of the passage. What is the tone of the passage telling? For the sake of some people being in poverty, let's conserve environment and resources. That is what the passage is saying. But what is this option telling? This option is telling us that if we are to eradicate poverty, we have to make adjustment with environmental degradation. So we will eliminate option B also, because it is not agreeing with the tone of the passage. Okay, the tone of the passage, it is talking about maintaining both environmental sustainability and resource conservation along with maintaining inclusive growth. Okay, we eliminated two options. Let's look at the third one. Maintaining high environmental standards is now a prerequisite for achieving a steady, sufficient and inclusive growth. Yes, this is a good option. We will keep it under consideration. However, we will not mark this as the correct answer until we have eliminated the other one, or if we found this to be a better option, we will eliminate this one. Okay, let's look at the last passage. With large populations, rampant poverty and limited resources of today's world, environmental degradation cannot be prevented and inequalities are inevitable. Inequalities are inevitable. No, we will reject this option also. Why? Because this option, it says that environmental degradation cannot be prevented and inequalities are inevitable. That is, inequalities are but that is not what this passage is telling. This passage is telling, let's reduce inequality, let's have And why on the way of reducing inequality, we shall also maintain environmental sustainability. So this is also not agreeing with the what passage is telling. So what will our option be? Our answer would be option C. Okay, I think this was not a very tough one, and we landed at the correct option easily by eliminating the options that do not agree with the passage or the tone of the passage. Okay, now let's go to the next question. I think after reading that passage, you will be able to answer this one, and this will be your homework question for this class. Let's read the passage once. Not every voice on the internet commands the same kind of audience. When anonymous private entities with high capital can pay for more space for their opinions, they are effectively buying a louder voice. If political discourse in the digital sphere is a matter of outshining one's opponent till the election is won, then quality of politics suffers. The focus of social media is restricted to the promotion of content that generates more user engagement regardless of how inflammatory the content may be. So here also they are asking what is the central idea of the passage, and these are your 4 options, and I have underlined key terms for the easy elimination of options. Do make use of the key terms, then eliminate the options and arrive at the correct answers, and leave your answer in the comment section. We will discuss the answer to this question in the next class. And now it is time to answer the homework question of the previous class. This was the previous class's homework question. Let's read the passage. Nowadays, there is a growing trend to use interconnected home devices. I will underline interconnected home devices. Okay. As consumers increasingly network their homes, the connected home device manufacturers and service providers will seek to overcome thin profit margins by gathering more of our personal data with or without our agreement, turning the home into a corporate storefront. I will underline personal data, then corporate storefront, and without agreement. Okay. Corporate marketers will have powerful incentives to observe consumer behavior to understand the buying needs and preferences of the device owner. I will underline consumer behavior because that is what they are targeting. Okay. What is this passage talking about? It is talking about interconnected home devices. Okay. When you use interconnected home devices, the manufacturers and the service providers, they might want to collect your personal data with or without your permission or agreement, and they will be turning your home into a corporate storefront because knowing consumer behavior, it is a powerful incentive to them. Okay, this was the passage, and let's read the question and eliminate the options and arrive at the correct option. Which one of the following statements best reflects the most logical and rational message conveyed by the passage? Okay, let's read the options now. Knowledge of consumer behavior leads to capital expenditure in manufacturing sector. Okay, I will reject this one. There is no talk about capital expenditure or revenue expenditure in any sector. Okay, there is no talk about capital expenditure or revenue expenditure in any manufacturing sector or in any other sector. So option A, it is not in agreement with the context of the passage at all. Okay, we will eliminate option A. Look at option B. Knowledge of consumer behavior stimulates the growth of commerce and trade and thus helps in the overall economic development of the country. Okay, this option, it is telling that knowledge of consumer behavior, it is good for the economic development of the country. So this option B, what tone does it express? It expresses a tone as though knowledge of consumer behavior to the corporates, it is good for the economic development of the country. However, what about the tone of the passage? It talks about it disapprovingly, as though it is corporate greed which makes them understand the consumer behavior with or without the permission of the homeowners. So this passage it talks disapprovingly about corporates knowing about consumer behavior. However, this option it talks approvingly about consumer behavior. So corporates knowing consumer behavior. So we will eliminate option B because the tone of this option is not in agreement with the tone of the passage. Let's look at the third option. Interconnected device give a lot of comfort to home users and improve overall quality of life. No. Again, there is no mention of how it improves or it degrades or it does anything to the quality of life. It just says that consumers are doing it and corporates are taking the advantage of it. There is no mention of improving of quality of life. And this passage it is talking disapprovingly about the corporate behavior towards the home users who use connected internet things. But this option it is talking approvingly about internet connected devices. So we will eliminate option C also. So if we eliminated three options, the last one must be our answer, but we shall read it also. Interconnected devices can be at security risk and home users may have privacy risk. Privacy risk, yes, where with or without agreement. Privacy risk, yes. But what about security risk? Security risk, I think gathering personal data, turning the home into corporate storefront. So overcome thin margin. So by looking at these key terms, overcome thin profit margins, gathering personal data without agreement and turning the home into corporate storefront, what does it indicate? It indicates a sort of security risk, and privacy risk it is directly being referred to. Okay, even though security risk it is not explicitly stated here, we can understand that the whole passage it is talking disapprovingly about interconnected devices, and of all these, this is the only option which is talking disapprovingly in a disapproving tone or in a negative tone about interconnected devices. So option D will be our answer after eliminating option A, B and C. This might be less appropriate to you. However, A, B and C they are still far lesser appropriate than this one. That is why I told you, do not think in terms of right and wrong, think in terms of more appropriate option and less appropriate option and choose the most appropriate one, and that would be your answer. I think in the last 3 classes of RC you got a fair idea of how to answer RC questions. Follow just the 2 steps that I told you. One is to underline the key terms in the passage, then go by option elimination method. Okay. I hope that today's class it was beneficial to you. If you like the class, do watch our classes regularly. We upload 1 episode every evening, and also share the YouTube link to this video with your friends through WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups. I wish you all the best, and most of all I wish you a very happy studying.